EveryLift. Central Bravo. Ah, fuck. Let me read that again. Central Balvalu High Street. It's a game that two people developed. Think of it as a collaboration project. It's actually way better to play it alone rather than bringing other people. I have noticed this game does not take place in the United Kingdom. Of course. West lifts. Obviously there are west elevators. Interium 11. It's not in their original controller, so think of it as a Polo V2 retrofit. Of course, all of the buildings in this game, for now, have stairs. Most of the buildings in this site will be completed in later updates. One of the buildings, of course, it is a corner one space. If you have noticed where's the Coney brand, well, you can't really see it. Too lazy to put a chain for downwards direction, but I'm not sure if they would notice. Our lifts. Of course, one of the redeeming factors is the first-person camera, and almost all of the buildings contain stairs. And then you may notice something familiar. If you have played a certain game that is about, you know, walking in skyscrapers, riding the lifts, such description is the same as this game on Roblox. But the thing is, that game that is similar to is not on Roblox. It's a game of its own. It uses its own engine. It uses the OGRE engine, to be fair. And I think I did it in a more realistic way compared to, you know, Of course, you don't find MS Paint textures, rather those textures are just standard quality or the default Roblox textures. It's more of 3D modeling rather than textures in a really primitive and simple polygons and stuff. Think of it as a tribute or our take on something. The elevator is stuck only. How? Well, the first floor's locked off. If you scan this card, you'll gain access to the first floor. In fact, everyone when they join this game, they'll receive this fucking card. And when they go to this area, they'll get a specific badge. Of course, there are some games that do not like this. For example, in Roblox, there's an elevator riding game known as Columbus District by Blue Pop Treat. His game kicks you for entering the service lift. The game kicks you for entering the staff area. Here we don't kick you. Rather, we actually give you a badge for that. Of course, the first two badges are the easiest. The third one is quite really hard unless you know how to glitch in. Like, if you have noticed in some of my EveryLift videos, you can clearly see me glitching into staff areas. Roblox has an emote that allows you to glitch into staff areas. There's some lighting issues, but I don't really have that time to fix all of those. Most of the time is spent in doing this EveryLift. Think of it as the initial release. The game will be updated and maybe we might see more buildings if possible. In fact, some of the buildings might be similar, but they may have some slight modifications. This one is an express lift, but we have some unique names for the shop. Sport U, Dave Cycles, BBQ, Smith, Disco, and Watson. Those are all legal name alternatives. Of course, this is a Schindler. And it's probably one of the Schindlers you never get to see on Roblox. Like this design, to be fair. And we do have a div, or deve, whatever. Who cares about how you spell it, or pronounce the name itself? I don't speak Swedish. this one is a mess. I couldn't turn it into a lift. My bad. Anyways, I did script the indicator to function a little bit similar to the real one. Smith. It's an even lift. And it goes directly to tree. I think I've made it really accurate. Of course, we do have generics. And this is a typical bug that Cobalt has.
Going down. Doors closing. Doors open. Going up.
Of course, just a reminder, if we do not really have plans on doing a one-on-one recreation of games, we are actually more interested in putting our own takes in existing buildings, using them for concepts. If you haven't noticed, some of the Spanish blocks Roblox buildings are like that. And of course, recreating skyscraper simulator buildings into Roblox is actually well known. And then you have a Stella, which is obviously we'll use these fixtures instead. And this is the old version that may be gone in later updates possibly. The pictures are small. Indicator is kinda inaccurate. If you haven't realized, we did a shopping mall too. Of course, it's in a really different building style. As you can see, all of those buildings here are built by me. The only ones built by this Spanish block is here and here. This one is my building, but this one is his. And there might be another building. All of those buildings there are fake, and they are not meant to be enterable. They're just like making it a little bit immersive. So what this shopping about value is, as you can see, we're 15 minutes in the video. It's a shopping mall, obviously. you can technically jump. Of course, I forgot to mention that I will not do EveryLift requests anymore. That would be an interesting building with more blocks instead. Of course, the indicator here, it's working as intended, like it was supposed to. Nowadays, later version Cobalt Plus messes up that indicator's behavior. That's a different element. It's multiple aspect. And I might just mute the mic for a while. So we could hear the lift sound. Those are hydrogen. Diamond lift's hydrogen. If you ever noticed, this lift is a hydraulic. It sounds like it's not a hydraulic, but it actually is. In fact, it uses the same motor as Spec Echo, whatever. No, Eco. Yeah, Spec Eco. Fuck it, beauty again. What's this? The Otis lift to disco. Fun fact, disco rhymes with disco. No, it doesn't rhyme, but it just sounds similar. Of course, it's a Gen 2. And just to play it safe, the lift brands most lift would be hidden. And here you have it, an Otis Gen 3 from Netcore Elevators. It's probably the only Cortex lift here. Of course, Cortex lifts are the easiest to spam all buttons. Or, additionally, this is what the cool kids call treeing. Because it's just like that one scene from a Christmas movie which involves an elf pressing all of the fucking buttons in an elevator. That's why they call it treeing. I mean, it's literally Cortex Look, I can't do the same trick for Cuba Plus and Polo V2 elevators. Also the Waterlux ones. Also this one is a hydraulic diamond lifts hydrogen. Yeah, I think I'm messing up some of my words. LMAO. Fuck, I sound like an old man. Now we could just unmute it and not care about what people say. It's a Office 2003 ad. Anyways, if you haven't realized, I'm now into rhythm games. Like just a year ago I started playing Pump It Up in an arcade in Kuwait. Used to do the step charts that were rated S3 or S4s. Nowadays I could do around S8 to S10s. If it's a bit on arcade cap, I could actually do an S21 or S22 with it. Anyways, here's a ThyssenKrupp lift with focus fixtures. If you think this is a futuristic ThyssenKrupp Mark II elevator, then you have serious problems that must be diagnosed. Clearly, this is not a futuristic ThyssenKrupp. It doesn't even look futuristic at all. Rather, this is a ThyssenKrupp Universe lift with focus fixtures. Of course, what is this? The answer is simple. An elevator. How hard is that? It's the one that goes all floors. Like all of the floors in this building. Anyways, fun fact. The chains are actually high-pitched cornet chains. And the reason why they're high-pitched is so they actually sound like Otis 2000 chains. Or Otis Gen 2 chains, whatever you put to blow. Oh my god, I'm saying it incorrectly. And this one does not stop at M. Of course, this is that lift that also gives you a badge. Anyways, we're actually doing it way better than, you know, like we're just doing it way better than Columbus District. Here is an Otis Cargo 2000. If you don't like people going into your service lift, like seriously, it's just a Roblox lift. What harm could it do? Of course, we have another ThyssenKrupp universe. And this is what the morons on YouTube call it. They call this shit futuristic ThyssenKrupp Mark 1. Fucking hell, this is a ThyssenKrupp universe with focus fixtures. This is what it correctly is. It is not a futuristic ThyssenKrupp Mark 1. It doesn't even look futuristic at all. In fact, in Korea, ThyssenKrupp lifts in South Korea actually look more futuristic than whatever that is. Of course, they do have chains that sound similar to Hyundai, like the Mitsubishi-like chains from the 2010s and not the 2020s. In fact, while there's no ThyssenKrupp Korea lifts in this game, I could tell you that the most futuristic ThyssenKrupp lift would be like a 2010 ThyssenKrupp Synergy lift made in South Korea. Like, I never went to South Korea, but I've seen lift videos of it. Clearly, it's more futuristic than this. Like, how is this futuristic? Of course, to make it a more lively setting, he decided to put more buildings so people could ride lifts. I think my internet had a... This is a gold star lift for LG. Yeah, that's called as a gold star for now. I shouldn't press the fly button while riding it. It made an ear-piercing noise. I'm sorry that you had to witness this torment. Of course, the indicator script in the original model, it sucked ass, so I decided to mess around it by making it work similar to the Daimler's ergo indicator. And it worked as intended. Here we have the CalVOS lift. It looked similar to the one in... Guess what it is? Oh, let me check what it... It was unsuitable. Unsuitable market. How is this similar to unsuitable market? Well, the lift size is quite similar, the indicator is similar. Anyways, this building is probably one of the most ugliest out of all buildings. Like, not gonna lie, I think I like that idea of a building. Really cheap concrete buildings. It kinda sounds like it belongs to some cyberpunk setting or whatever. Of course, it's a CalVOS lift. It's actually similar to the one in unsuitable market, except it's a second generation version of it. How? Look. The fixtures are different. The segment indicator is different. It does have that CalVOS feeling though. I'm not sure if I would try to include more CalVOS buildings in my future games. But if you really like CalVOS lifts in my games, I don't know, maybe I might include more of them or not. Anyways, here's a fun fact. Look. When you go on a straight line, you would notice that there's something about it. Clearly, you may think that the mod is literally the same width. In fact, you're fucking wrong. This one is 0.5 studs on the left. This one is 0 studs on the left. Look, the distance on the width, like look, it just turns to the left really slightly. Very slightly that most people would not notice. Of course, if you haven't realized, there's this lift with an original cobalt. Why is it original cobalt, you may ask? Look, this is probably one of the only swing door cobalt lifts. Like the original, it did not have a drag detector, but I did add it so it makes mobile users have the illusion of opening the door. Kind of reminds me of my Blackwood swing door lifts. See? Original Cobalt. Cobalt Plus would not do that. And this is the Schindler mod. How did I get it? Well, it was released as an RPXM file in the server, and I was given authorization to use this. This lift I might just enable welding because it's C-frame. And this lift is technically more reliable. Of course, we haven't forgotten about this. What lift it is? Well, it's a KW lift. It may look like a Mitsubishi on the outside, but on the inside, it's KW. I think my internet's acting up. Or I could just go in and look, KW lift. It's a KW lift with Series 4 fixtures. In fact, this actually used to be a bending lift running on Cobalt Plus. Well, without fixtures, it got retrofitted to Apollo V2 and... well, of course, what is this, you may ask? Diamond Lift's modular. It's actually one of the best fixtures I made on Roblox. Like, look. The lift parts could be moved around freely. It's really modular. And I forgot to mention that I think it reminded me of some certain 80s or 90s lift fixtures like multiple reflector, Auto Series 5, but also the so-called modular forts which you can stab some phone parts on it. Oh look, KW Series 5. And this is the first KW lift with Series 5 running on Polo V2. Why is this running on Polo V2? I don't know. Like, look, this fixture was designed for Polo V2. It looks like that same fixture that you see in Ginza Point and Mall. Like, you know the service lift in N Mall? That's his KW Series 5. You know the service lift in Ginza Point? KW Series 5. Car lift in Ed Hotel? KW Series 5. And the lift in this building? KW Series 5. How did I get it? Well, look. The super cool gaming room. Basically, the super cool gaming room only is so cool that we had to paywall it behind the 5 Robux Game Pass. It's called the Super Cool Game Pass. You should buy it if you want to go to the super cool game overhaul. What makes it super cool is that it's like the furniture is actually uniquely arranged. If you don't understand how uniquely arranged the furniture is, head to room 666 and look how beautiful the furniture is arranged. Are you tired of a sofa being upright? Now you can sit on it sideways. Look, this is the sofa of the future. Want to sleep upside down? Look, you can now do it. Want to watch TV on the floor? Good idea, you can. But of course we have to disable the TV script for issues. Want to take a shower sideways? Now you can. You'll never understand the potential of Roblox developers. Never ever will you understand the potential of Roblox developers. Now you can take a shower sideways. Why is that a cool idea? Well, because it fucking is. Anyone who says otherwise are not cool enough. Want to take a giant shit on a giant bathroom? Look, now you can. Toilet enthusiasts would love it. They would love to throw the camera into the toilet bowels just because I'm saying nonsense over that. And of course, the sink is probably the most normal. And that bed only. Why is this cool? Well, because it's a super cool gaming room. But wait, what's this? An effortless / Doppler. Well, let's just call this an effortless. Of course, triangle keys would not be given out to everyone because you know what happens when you do that. Like messing up with people's lips would be like, oh look, cheap lift, let's light it. It's so cheap that the lift does not even light up at all. It makes you wonder whether this lift is expensive or it's just plain rotten cheap. And of course that EveryLift is from 2003. Now the final lift to the EveryLift we have... Oh wait, I forgot about that lift. Oh, what's this you may ask? It's the Awola lift I forgot to film. Because what would an EveryLift be if I did not film all of the fucking lifts? And now back to this lift. This is probably one of the weirdest buildings I ever made. It's an Awola lift. Probably the cheap kind. And yes, that's it for this Roblox EveryLift. Look, let me show you how to get a badge. Look, you need to be like this. Look, you need to have this badge. It costs like Robux to have it. Look, you need to do this. Look, see? You can now get that out of bounds achievement. Also, how would you get that one badge that is like, yeah, let me see. Oh, let's see what badge. Meet the developers. Well, it sounds easy. Just be in the same game session as the developers and there are 4 or 3 developers, whatever, it doesn't really matter that much, but and how do you get that unobtainable badge? Simple. You can't. You can't get this fucking badge because it's impossible. We literally did not even set that. We did not set the conditions for it. And if you wanted, how do I have it? Well, I just did something to get it. But you cannot do it because you're not admin. Clearly it's meant to be impossible to be achieved. No one can get it unless you know how to do it. In fact, we do not even put triggers for that achievement. Well, actually, let's just call it badges. Clearly you cannot get this fucking badge at all. So how do you get this fucking badge? Simple. You fucking can't. Of course, if you want to play more of those games like this, you can go to this fucking shit, wait for it to teleport you to this game. Look. Now you can't hear the game audio. Look. You can't even hear the game audio at all anymore. So basically when you want to play this game you can just click it. Look, you can click join. It's like a hub. Just remember that there's some places that you can't play because of a certain Roblox update that happened in October. Yes, today is October. Some of the games can't be played because of certain Roblox updates. We'll try our best to make sure that most of the experiences in these games are accessible to everyone. I tried my best to make most of the games accessible to everyone. So if you still have problems playing with one of the games here, just tell us in the comments in this video and we'll see what we can do. Anyways, bye bitches. Thank you for wasting this time in this 45-ish minute video. Bye bitches. Also, there won't be live streams and shit. Unless I feel like I want to do it. Honestly, raiding streams is actually cringe. Makes you look like a total loser when you do that. Like, imagine raiding or vandalizing things just because someone you don't like. How pathetic. Clearly, I could just say bye bitches and move on. See? Bye bitches. And then I'll move